What is up, guys? We are back with another video, and it is currently 1 a.m. I've been playing this new patch on Iron Fist pretty much all day because I wanted to get this guide out as soon as I could. But you saw when I first streamed, I was struggling to find out how to really use the team up properly, and I was also doing a lot of experimentation, which, yeah, okay, I did cause a couple matches to lose because of it. I did throw a couple matches because of that. Should have just went on my ult instead of playing some games on my main. Should have just went to my ult. But I was trying different play styles, and then when I went off stream, I kept playing all day, and I finally got it down because I wanted to get this video out. Because I went to the Iron Fist Reddit, and guys, you guys are not happy. Okay, I've been seeing everywhere I look, it is negative comments about the state of Iron Fist right now, and although I have to agree with a lot of what people are saying, I'll explain why right now, right? And so the actual value that you bring on Iron Fist right now is about the same as it was last season. They took some value away from his dive and they gave it back to his brawl, right? But I hate what they did with this character. I hate what they did with it because they couldn't just give us our 5% back. They had to make the meditate range of the team up. When you use it, the whole enemy team is like a signal flare of where you are, basically. So, ruins your dives, right? They also had to nerf the tracking, and then the ult bug, and then nerfing our base left-click damage. A lot of things that are pretty brutal, honestly. A lot of things that are really, really brutal right now. It feels like utter crap to play this character. But he's still decent. He's still very playable, and he's still very decent. You just have to make some tweaks to how you play with the way he is now and the changes they did make to him. Because although they were small changes on paper, they do change the way you play him. I wouldn't say extremely significantly, but enough to where I feel like I got to make a video about it. I released the video for the last 2 seasons ago when they nerfed Iron Fist like 5 times in one season. I released the video a lot quicker because although the character changed more in terms of nerfs, his playstyle was still the same as like Season 0, for example, which is like my heart, you know, it's where my heart is with Season 0 Iron Fist. And so that's how I've been playing him all this time. Like, I know there's a million different ways to play this character. I play this character the same way I played him in Season 0 with the golden rotation and all that, which I'll get to in this video. And I'm going to keep playing him the same way I've been playing him. I don't really give a damn what NetEase does to this character. Unless they make dive for him completely unplayable, I'm going to keep doing what I've always been doing. Because I tried experimenting with their brawl only and whatever they feels like they want me to do. Like, I tried just sitting and babysitting my team with the team up. I found that what works best, and I went back to crushing it the same way I was last season, just by going back to what I was doing last season, but with minor modifications, which I'm going to get into right now. So the very first thing I need to talk about is 2 huge warnings. So as of recording, if you are watching this video later in the season, this might not apply because they might have changed it or fixed it, right? It's 2 very important things. Number 1 is the lock-on range. They nerfed it by a very, very stupidly large amount. You still don't lock on at this range. I believe they nerfed it by around 30 to 40%. It's actually pretty freaking criminal. You don't lock on at this range. This is pretty absurd, right? Now, a lot of people are saying it's a bug because when you use your flurry punches, it's still pretty long on the flurry punches, so it could be a bug. And they didn't put it in the patch notes, which seems like it's something that's really critical. It sounds like something they would put in the patch notes, because they did put in the patch notes when they nerfed our flying movement, right? They did put that in the patch notes. If they actually shadow nerfed it, that's a pretty dick move by NetEase. Not gonna lie, a pretty crappy move. But it's important to be aware of this because it makes the character, initially when you start playing with this reduced tracking distance, it feels like crap. My first few games, when I was diving, I was doing a lot of air kicking because I wasn't used to the distance. Now, there is one thing you need to do that could help, which I will mention here, in case this sticks. It might stick. It's, guys, as much as I hate to admit it, it's possible. It's not a bug. And so I will mention that when you are in the air, even if it's a regular jump, not even a double jump, you do gain your lock-on distance back. I don't know if it's the full lock-on distance from last season, but you gain a significant amount back when you're in the air. So even when you're on the ground and you're trying to track targets, just jump, just to get off the ground. Now, it's kind of stupid because, like, there's a Luna and you're going right here. You know, you have to jump before. It's kind of dumb, but that's how it is, and so that's something that's important to be aware of to help you get around that. But it is pretty fatal sometimes. It makes it really hard, especially with like tracking a Captain America or a Spider-Man or a BP. God, it's so hard to track a BP now. The second thing I need to mention is really fatal, and I pray to dear God that this is actually a bug. I think it is, but guys, knowing NetEase, okay, there is a possibility it's not a bug, and I don't want to accept that possibility. So I'm just going to assume it's a nerf. I'm going to assume it's a bug because there's no way. And sometimes when you ult, I don't know how to do it in the practice range. It only really happens for me when I'm in a game, if I'm being honest. And a lot of Iron Fist players have reported this. Pretty much every Iron Fist player I know has been reporting this. It's when you ult, there is a bug where when you try to click your block, it simply clicks it like this. And it won't actually use it. Now, in the practice range, I haven't been able to recreate it, but for some reason, it always happens at least one or two ults every game, and it's actually fatal. It will lead you to your death. You will die. You will dive the back line. You'll be right in front of them. You'll click your block. It won't work, and you'll just die straight up dead. That's it. It could sell the game. It could sell fights. It has sold an entire game for me today. I pray to dear God this is a bug, and later in the if you're watching this later in the season, this might be fixed, or it could still be there. But it's something that's very important to be aware of. And there's, again, just like with the first one, where I gave you the little trick of jumping to increase the lock-on distance, I'll give you one little trick here. And I noticed I've been getting used to how to avoid it. So when you do go for your ult, I notice I'm able to completely avoid that bug by adding a bigger separation in the clicks from my left click to my right click, right? If I'm clicking my left click and I'm holding it down and I immediately try to hold my right click immediately, sometimes it'll bug and it'll do it. But if I'm holding my left click and I let go of the left click really temporarily, I let go and then I grab the right click and I press down hard when I do it just to make sure. That's probably placebo, that part. But adding the increased separation between the left click and the right click for me has helped a lot. It might be a bug with like the timing. I don't know, but sometimes, usually when I try to right click really quickly is when it doesn't work. But then when I ult, I try to pay attention to the bug, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna left click and then I'm gonna right click right now, and I let go before I click the right button. Adding the little bit of separation between your left click and your right click is how I've been able to avoid it. So if this bug or nerf, who knows, does end up sticking, that's how I've been avoiding it. By doing that, I haven't really had it happen anymore. It's just frustrating to have to do that, but let's hope this is just a bug, guys. Anyways, on to the next part of this video. Okay, so guys, now we are on to the adjustments to your actual gameplay, and then we'll get on to the team up, and then I'll go through one of my MVP games in Celestial today. So, starting off is I want to say that for me, I simply went back to doing what I did last season, but with minor changes. So what I did last season, guys, what I've been doing since Season 0 is really just, if you're a low-ranked player, always remember the fundamental rotation, the golden rotation on Iron Fist, which is dive, parry, rotate to front line, pummel the tanks, meditate, repeat the process, right? So you go, you dive the back line, blah, 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 blah. They force your block out. You commit if you think you can. Maybe there's too much damage, too much peeling. Then you go back to the front line, pummel the tanks, maybe kick, whatever, right? Maybe you need to kick back to the front line and pummel the tanks. The change that I've made now, and you'll see when I show you the game that I'm playing, is it's relatively minor, but it's also kind of major, is I simply change my diving distance if the healers are even further in the back. Previously, if the healers were further in the back, I would still dive, and then I would just do the long distance kick back to the front. However, I'm trying to save my kick now instead of having to use it to jump back, if I have to. So what I'm trying to do more... because I really want to maximize, because they nerfed your basic left click by 10%, and they buffed your flurry punches by between 5 to 10%, depending on if it's like a Groot or a Strange. Strange is like 5%, and Groot is like 8%, I think. So I'm trying to increase the value and increase my time spent on tank targets, but still trying out the dive, because you are a playmaker. You are a playmaker. Remember, you are a playmaker on Iron Fist. You have wall running. You have all these tools. diving is still very valuable no matter how much netties might not want us to do it. It is still very valuable. And you'll see, all my games today, I've been winning a lot of games off stream, pretty much all of them, because I'm doing what I was doing last season. Diving and then doing the golden rotation to rotate back to the front line. You dive the back line, you punch around. Now there's, oh, the second difference I forgot to mention. The second difference is I'm parrying earlier than I was before because the flurry punches is so much higher value and the basic left click is so much lower value that I end up going to my flurry punches even quicker even if I know I'm not going to take damage, right? So let's say I dive a target and they're healing each other. The two healers are healing each other, okay? Even if I'm not going to take damage, I will still block, even if I know I'm not going to take damage, because the value of my left click here is so low. It's so low. You can still land picks, but if they're healing each other or they're cognizant of you, or your team isn't following up and you just know you're not going to land a kill here, then I always go into the dive and I parry early and I go back to the front line and I'll parry the tanks. Again, I will show you this in a demonstration we get to just after. But I'm blocking a lot sooner. So the main two things with the gold rotation is I'm blocking a lot sooner in the engagement. And I'm also diving only when the healers are closer to the front line. I'm no longer diving if the healers are really far in the back. So the last thing I want to mention is the last modification to the playstyle. And it's essentially just taking extra care before you do your dive of where the enemy tanks are. Because you could punish them a lot harder than you could before for being out of place, right? So let's say now this is something I did before, right? This is something I've always done, and I've said in previous guides, this is what you do. But now it's just extra care to doing it because you can punish them harder, right? So you're in the high ground, right? You're going for your dive. You notice a Strange is overextending a bit too much. Maybe it's still in line with the healers, but he's too far. Like, let's say this is the Strange, okay? And that's the healers right there. That's a pretty hefty distance to where I wouldn't go for a dive at this distance. If, let's say it's an invis and a cloak, right? Versus one Strange there, and we've got the DPS on rooftops or whatever, right? I'm going to go for the Strange. He's quite far. I'm gonna go behind the Strange right here. Let's say the healers are right there. I'm going to go behind the Strange, block from behind to soak the healing, and then pummel the Strange from behind. So the healers, they're trying to heal at him, are now hitting me instead, and I'm dealing damage to the Strange. So I'm blocking the healing with my body and pummeling down the Strange, right? So that is essentially what you want to do. You want to do more of that than you did last season and adjust the diving distance. Like, the healers are too far. Like, I've reduced how far I'm willing to go for a dive now. That's basically what I've done. So the last thing I want to mention is the team up. It's a little bit complicated on terms of how to use it, and I know a lot of players are going to experiment and try to, like, purposely use it and maybe throw games because, which is what I did this morning. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I tried using it more than I should have, babysitting my backline a lot, because the reality is when you're using this team up, guys, like, look, it's pretty decent. It's a good ability, right? It's a good ability. You know, it can save a healer that's being dove. It's good for getting your tanks up or people that are just around you. It's a strong ability, but if you focus on using it too much, remember, you're sitting here doing nothing. Like, this is all me doing nothing, not killing anything. Think about how much damage you could be doing in that. Look at that. Think how much damage you could be doing in that meantime, right? It's very important that you don't overuse this ability and you try to incorporate it into your already existing rotation. Because, for example, you already should peel for a diver. Let's say there's a BP going for your backline. The only difference is using the team up, you might change how you peel, right? If there's a BP going for my backline, I might instead just go and use the team up. Because if the BP has already started their dive, it's so hard to track them. You can't do much. The best thing you could do is just drop down and heal. I also saved my healers in multiple situations. Number one, the enemy team has a support ult up and your team doesn't. You can't kill anything anyways. I'd block, I'd get my overhealth, and I'd sit next to my team, and I'd heal them through the enemy, because the enemy has their ult up, and so we can't kill them, and we're being pushed back. It'll just give that extra sustain to your team. Or maybe you're going back to meditate because you're low, and you notice your healers are low, so you move that extra distance to get to them, to meditate next to them. Again, I'll show you this in a game, what I'm talking about. But you want to incorporate it into your existing rotation and make slight modifications to your meditate placements. With exceptions, there are some cases where you deliberately want to go to use this, like a Psylocke ult. Or an enemy team is using a DPS ult, and you don't have anything to counter, right? Let's say they're using a Punisher ult. Or no, even better is a Magic ult, because it's more peelable. They're using a Magic ult, and you don't really have a lot of frontline pressure right now. Maybe you have the point, and you need to go back and peel because your healers are going to die to the Magic ult, right? I would go back, and I would simply meditate to... Because, like, Magic ult does do good damage, but not Punisher level damage. Your healing can save your healers. So it's a matter of changing how you peel, not making you peel when you wouldn't be peeling before, but changing how you peel. So when I'm going back to peel for the Magic, she's kind of tanky in her ult, right? She has her portals, and she gets overshields when she does damage, right? Maybe she even has a Luna Flake or an Ultron bot. But you could save your team if instead of trying to kill the Magic, you heal your healers. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Is it you still do the things you did before, but instead of attacking to peel, sometimes you will use your meditate to heal. Again, with the exceptions of these unique situations, which I'll get into. All right, let's go to the demonstration now. So the first match we're going to look at, this is a great game that I did where I got an MVP. And again, I'm doing what I always did before. Now, this map, thankfully, you could still dive pretty much every time on this point. Because it's so tight in that like the healers are never really far. Unless the healers are playing up there, right? If the healers are playing up there, I would say that's too far for me. I would not do that. That's too far of a dive. I'd have to kick all the way back here. No, I'd be going for the front line. But the healers are playing really up close. So what do? I go for the dive. I do my pre-combo a little bit. I go for the dive. Right, I'm still 325 health. I block earlier because I want to go back to the front line, right? I block earlier because I know I'm not going to kill them and I want to get that front line pressure. I go back to the front line. I'm pummeling them all, and I'm like, okay, they condensed up. Adam used his soul bond. I'm out. We got soul bond. It's a big cooldown. Now, even though I end up fucking it up here, I wanted to show it because it's still a pretty good example of what I'm talking about. So, what I do right here is instead of just meditating over there, again, I jump right over here where I'm in line of my tanks to help them with sustain on the front line. Right here is where I'm meditating. I'm going to heal my tanks. And now, in a situation like this, you can maybe calm. Luna move in quickly. I'm going to meditate, right? And she'll get the overshields. Or she should just notice it. Ideally, a Luna can see this big circle. Now, the reason why I told you guys I did kind of fuck it up here is because they broke the bridge in front of me. And so I had to end up canceling it, right? Because the bridge broke. But let's say they didn't break the bridge. That's still a perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? The bridge is here. I'm helping my tanks. I'm healing my tanks on the front line to sustain us as we go up. Right? And then what do I do right after? I immediately go back the same route I always do. I was about to rotate back line to front line once again. So what I do is I go up and boom. What do I find? An isolated target. Just like before, an isolated target. Now, some people are doing Brawl-only Fist, which I don't think works. I don't like it either. Brawl-only Fist wouldn't do this. Brawl-only Fist would stay down here, probably. I'm not sure. I've never tried Brawl-only Fist. I don't like it, and I don't think I need to, because I get top 500 every season doing what I'm doing. So I'm not going to change anything, to be honest, guys. I'm not going to do that. But maybe I've seen people saying they love just brawling. Maybe they would go down here, and they would start attacking the tanks. But what do I find when I go up? I find a beautiful Isolate Phoenix. And I really just hunt her down, and I just hunt her down. I land the kill. And that now they're down 2. I'm deep in the back line. Now we've entered brawl mode. And you just do what you always do on Iron Fist. You do what you were born to do, what you know to do. You just get in the flow and kind of wipe the team, basically. Let's move on to the next example. So on to the next example. Again, I'm taking the high ground like we always do. And I'm preparing for my team to get closer, and boom, I find an Isolate Phoenix once again. And I pressured her off her high ground. She no longer has the angle on my healers. Again, taking angles. Remember this, taking angles is important. That Phoenix stays up there. Maybe she picks off a healer. You lose the fight, right? I get her off her height. I block, and then I rotate. Actually, Invis actually stops my kick there, so I have to use my flurry to get back. And then bam, I get back, and I notice my team's a little bit low. Now, if my team wasn't low here, if they all had full health, I wouldn't have wasted the time for a meditate, but they didn't, right? They did not have all full health, so I went for a meditate. Now, I messed up the distance a little bit. I thought it would be longer. I still got to get used to the distance. Also, I should have calmed to my team so they walked into it, because as you can see, I only ended up getting 2 of them. It wasn't really that high value, but the point of what I'm trying to do still stands for this example. And then what do, I go wall run up again. I go back to the back line because, look, tanks are in close. It's basically a brawl almost. And so what do? Straight for the back line once again. Straight for the back line. And I block while I'm still 270 health, right? I block while I'm still very high in health because I want to get those free punches. And then I don't rotate back to the front. I go straight for the back line because I have confidence I can survive here. And I can, again, be a playmaker, be a distraction. Bam, 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 invis used her ult. And I almost even got the kill there. If she was a little bit later, I forced her to use her ult off point as well, pretty far back because she was going to die. She's panicking. She's going to die. She couldn't move in. And then now what can my team do? My team can just move back. Again, you still gain so much value, guys, by doing this. I don't care what people say. Oh, you should have rotated to the back, maybe kill the Emma. No, no, no. Always, this is what I do. This works. This is the play style that I teach. It always works. If there are other play styles, but again, I've seen people mentioning the staying in your flurry punches more than your basic left click, and that is absolutely correct. That is correct. You do want to try to do that more now. I was aware that last season, near the end of last season, I just started to realize, I saw other top Iron Fist play, and I'm like, they spend a lot more time in their flurry punches. I'm going to try that a bit more. And I probably spend about 5 to 10% more time in my flurry punches now at the end of last season than I did the middle point. Now I'm spending probably 20 to 30% more of my overall time in my flurry punches because the basic left click was nerfed so hard. And they buffed the flurry punch damage to squishies only by I think 1 or 2%. It wasn't much, but it feels better, because it feels better just because the basic left click was nerfed really hard. But I do try to spend as much time as I can in the flurry punches just because it kind of gives you more options. You could pummel a squishy, you could pummel a tank versus your basic left click. You could get blown up quicker and you don't do damage at all, right? So I try to do that a lot more now. So I try to stay in my flurry punches about 30% more than I did last season. So there's another example I want to show of when I'm using my team up, right? So here we have both teams are ulting, right? Both teams are ulting. Now I have my ult already. There's no function at all, basically, I'm not going to kill through a cloak ult, right? There's no function at all for me to pummel people in the cloak ult and risk dying when I'm not even farming ult charge. So what do? Just to make sure my team survives, I go for my meditate right now to give them the extra overhealth. Now, my rocket did end up ulting. My supports double ulted, right? They double ulted. They did it multiple times this game. Still won, but they did it multiple times this game. But let's say rocket didn't ult. Right, this is what I was trying to get used to here. This is the habit I got into of using the meditate to basically, when there's support ults up and I don't need to farm, let's say my Luna didn't have her ult up, right? I'd be here right now healing my team while that cloak is up because I'm not going to kill anyone in the cloak ult. And if we didn't have any support ults up, this is what I'd be doing. I'm going to try to find an example of me doing that. I'm not sure if I can find one. It's just there's too many games I played today. I'm not sure if I can find an example, but that's what you want to be doing. So this, again, I didn't need to farm ult charge, so what did I do? I went straight for my meditate, just for the extra overhealth. Look at Luna's health now, right? I wanted the extra overhealth to make sure we didn't die through her support ult, to make sure my team didn't die through it. Because you never know. I wanted to make sure my team couldn't die through it. That's the best value I could give in that situation. There's no need. I'm not going to kill anything, and there's no need for me to farm ult charge. So there's one more example I want to show. And this is really important because I feel like a lot of people, including me when I first started with this team up, are going to make this mistake. And it's the choice of using your heal over dealing damage. And here's a perfect example, right? So I kick back. I use my kick. I kick back right here. And I start to lose health. And now I could meditate here, right? Because I'm losing health. And my team's losing health. But I decide, I'm going to damage the blade instead because the blade is overextended. I'm not going to meditate right now, even though it's off cooldown and my health was low. I wanted to force that blade back out because he's low. The blade is low. And even now, I still didn't go up for the meditate, right? I went up to the wall in the perfect place to meditate, by the way. I went straight up here. Let's go back, right? So I went straight up to the wall after I blocked. Straight up, perfect place to meditate. But I went straight back in because that blade is still eating up my front line, and he's still here. It is much higher value that I went for the damage there instead of going for meditate. If I went for a meditate, maybe we don't land this kill. Sure, maybe my healers don't die. Sure, maybe I get a little bit extra healing on the tanks, right? But then blade doesn't die. We don't land the pick, right? it's just I just want to caution people of using the team up too much because it's something I fell victim to my first few games. I was trying to use it in situations I shouldn't just for the sake of using it. It's just important to be aware that when you're using it, you're not dealing damage. You're a DPS, you're a duelist, right? Your function isn't to heal, right? So you want to fit it into your existing routine. You don't want to screw yourself over by using it when you shouldn't, basically. So here's another really good example of when I'm using the team up. I'm going and I'm jumping straight, and before I go and I dive, because remember, they made it to where your meditation health lasts a bit longer, so I can afford to meditate over here before I go in. I notice my team is low. We got one healer here, right? I'm going to heal my Luna and basically just top up my team in this, for this defensive hole here, right? So I go in and I meditate right here. Just to top up my tanks, top up my Luna, provide the extra health before I start and I jump in, right? That's it for today's video, guys. I really hope that this will help you a little bit. Again, it's not meant to be an all-in comprehensive guide. It's just to give you my thoughts on how to really adjust to the new state. Because, guys, we're dealing with it every season. Every time there's a new season, I feel like they just change this character and the way you have to play it. Because it's such a technical character. No matter how you look at it, he's a very, very technical character that the devil's in the details, and everything, all the little things matter on this character. So although it might seem like little things that I mentioned today, they're all extremely massive that will make or break whether you win or lose, or throw a fight or not, basically. Meditating at the wrong time when you should be dealing damage can throw a fight, right? It could throw a fight. It could literally throw the whole fight. It's very important to, like, get into that stuff. But guys, you know, I think I hate what they're doing to him. I really do hate what they're doing to him so much. It feels like they're just beating us down like a dead dog. They're just beating us down over and over and over. Every season, it's like we can't get a break. They finally give us a team up, and they have to make it to where the team up has a bad side to it. Like, it has to be this big signal flare where we can't even dive if we have a Luna. If you meditate anywhere that's not in their face, they'll already know. They'll see this big radius circle that goes through walls, by the way. I tested it. The healing doesn't go through walls, but it shows through the walls. So if they're behind a wall, you see that big, oh my god, you see the big radius around them. It's really, really bad, guys. I wish they would just bring back Season 0 Iron Fist, honestly. It's really frustrating. But look, guys, I wanted to play all day today and really hammer down this new style of playing, because I know a lot of you guys are feeling pretty crappy about this right now, and I know the community's in a fuss right now. Everyone really hates this character right now. Even the people that love playing it, like, I saw like other streamers maybe a little bit more positive, but I talked to some other people, and looking at the community reaction, it's very negative. So I wanted to get this out as quick as I can, just to help you guys, because I know deep down you still love this character. You're just fed up with NetEase's treatment of it, and me too, but I still love this character too, and so I'm gonna try to help you guys a little bit. Now, you won't always have the team up anyways. If you don't have the team up, then you can just forget a big portion. There's a big portion of this video about the team ups that you don't need to think about if you don't have a Luna on your team. If you're a lower ranked player, there may be many games where you don't have a Luna, because there's a lot of, like, Rocket, Jeff, whatever players. You'll even maybe have an Adam Ultron if you're in a lower rank, right? But if you're in the higher ranks and you're trying to rank up more, you're going to start to see a lot more Lunas. And the team up is good. The team up is good. It does provide value. You can save your healers. You can save a team fight by using it at the right time, right? But yeah, guys, you got to spend less time with your basic left clicks and more time using your flurry punches. But don't overdo it, you know? Don't just jump straight to your flurry punches all the time. I find what's working for me is the same rotation I've been doing since Season 0, which I believe is the way this character is meant to be played. High ground, look for targets, fishing out opportunities, dive the back line, block earlier than usual, go back to the front line, pummel the tanks, meditate. If you have the team up, meditate to heal your team. Rotate, do the same thing, look for isolated targets. As I showed you in my first example, finding that isolated Phoenix and taking the high ground. Guys, I'm going to sleep now. I've been playing this game literally all day because I wanted to get this guide out as soon as possible. But I need to make sure I, like, had proper talking points and I knew what I was doing. And that's why I played all day, to really solidify the modifications, right? Because I take the technicalities on this character very seriously, personally. So all these little minor changes, I wanted to make sure I really had them down, you know, like ingrained in my brain. The modifications. That way, when I make this video, I can talk confidently about it, right? Anyways, guys, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm very tired. I will probably stream tomorrow night. But yeah, take care, guys. Bye-bye.